welcome to RPG Book Club LongCast, a podcast where we play a itty-bitty bit of a big video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I am Sam Allman.
I'm David Bernard Houck.
And I am Maddie Grace Weber.
And today we will be discussing the last hour of the YouTube video entitled Final Fantasy XIII-2, the movie, all cutscenes.
That's right.
Before we get started on all of that, we have changed our top 5, which usually takes us an hour, to our top 3, which will still probably take us an hour. And this week's top 3 is top 3 movies that you love that no one has ever seen.
We're hoping that we can make it a shorter hour by making it a top 3.
Yes.
And also sometimes it's hard to think of 5 things.
That's true.
I'll lead off here. I've only got 2 so far. So I took the restriction of it that no one else has ever seen I wouldn't say literally, but very strictly. So it actually was very difficult. Most of my favorite movies that are more obscure are like, yeah, they're more obscure, but like weird heads like me have seen it, right? So far the only 2 I've thought of that are great movies that I really like that are like very unknown, or at least unseen, which is different than unknown, are War and Peace by Sergei Bondarchuk. A lot of people know about that movie. It's very famous, but a lot of people haven't seen that movie because it's 7.5 hours long. It was made in the 1950s, and it is an incredible work of extremely epic cinema. What's cool about it is normally when you think of a zillion-hour-long war romance drama based on a famous work of literature, very much similar to Gone with the Wind, which it was kind of made as kind of almost like a Cold War competitive response against like, we can make movies too, look how good it is, and they're right. This movie gets real weird. It has a lot of very unusual cinematic techniques. So instead of it being like right in that vein of like classics epic cinema style with just like that very functional cinematography and sweeping long shots and stuff, it gets real weird with it in a lot of ways. It almost feels like a what do you call it? Like a greatest hits album of like experimental movie filmmaking techniques from like the last decade or 2 before it was made. Great film. Second one is The Stranger by what's his name? That famous guy, Alfred Hitchcock. This is a very early Hitchcock. It's before he even immigrated from England to America, and that's why it's relatively obscure, even though it's by a famous director. It's a very, very early one of his films. The movie itself is like fine, like it's pretty good, like whatever. But I saw it in Austin as part of a special event with a one night only, never released later on CD, bespoke live. Okay, it's a silent film. I should have said that. It's a silent film. And it had a bespoke live soundtrack by some local musician that was insanely fucking good. That really, I've never seen a silent film with a actual live band before. And if you ever get the chance, I would highly recommend you change your schedule so that you can go see it. It's insane. It's an insanely cool concept, and the music was great. And the movie is really quite dope. That's all I got so far.
When I was in college, I was in a play where the concept was that it was a silent film on stage. So we had a person doing live piano music to it and a person doing live sound effects, like doing slide whistles and stuff, perfectly timed to the antics on stage. It was great.
That's pretty cool.
I have 3. One I don't feel very good about because I have seen people talking about it on Twitter exactly once, and I feel like that's too many times for this. But it is Bound, 1996, the Wachowskis' first movie.
Oh man, you're in the wrong crowd if you think that movie hasn't been seen.
I mean, I don't hang out with lesbians.
yeah,
I would, but I just don't happen to not to.
If we add an asterisk and say haven't been seen by people who aren't lesbians, then I agree.
It is a very lesbians movie.
Great.
So yeah, I don't feel very good about that one because some people have seen it. But these next two, well, the next one, definitely no one outside my family and people I have told to watch it have seen it. It is Oscar, 1991.
Let's go! I was going to put that on my list. It's a great movie.
Did I make you watch it?
Yeah.
Huh. I forget who I made watch it and who I didn't.
I didn't go on my list because I know one other person who's watched it.
Yeah. It's great. It's a comedy movie starring Sylvester Stallone as a 1920s gangster trying to go honest, and it's extremely good. It got terrible reviews, is known as a bad movie, so no one's watched it, but it's actually really good. It's got Tim Curry and Marissa Tomei. Like, what more do you want? And the last one, maybe people in Japan have seen it, but I don't think anyone outside Japan has seen it, is the OVA for Tokimeki Memorial, Forever With You. I happened upon it on YouTube, and as far as I can tell, it only has one fan sub, and it's terrible. Like, absolute nonsense, this fan sub. But I'm glad that it's there because I was able to more or less follow what was going on with it, at least. And this OVA is just absolutely beautiful. It's just about girls being sort of sad that high school is ending and trying to figure out what they want to do with their lives. And it's amazing. I love it so much.
Right. I definitely, you told me about Tokimeki Memorial and how the fact that both of us are starting to learn Japanese so we can understand, like we can squint through the bad fan translation to see what was probably actually said. And I've been wanting to watch it ever since. But,
it's so good.
So my three are similar to Bernard's first one. I have seen people talk about it, so there's not no one's seen. But two of them I know that you two have never seen, and that counts. And then the last one I know that only you two have seen, so that one counts as well. So the first one,
favorite.
the first one is Angry Angel. It is a Brenda song straight to TV Christmas movie on ABC Family's 25 Days of Christmas 4 or 5 years ago now, but it's fan-fucking-tastic. It's like, it was like The Good Place before I watched The Good Place, and the basis is your purgatory after you die before you get into heaven is you go back to Earth as an angel, and you have mild angel superpowers, and you perform miracles to get enough points to get into heaven. And Brenda Song's character, on her first day back, saves a plane from crashing and gets like 99% of her points, and then spends the next like 6 years just coasting on that and not actually doing anything with it and being snarky. And it's fantastic. I fucking love that movie. Like the moment it starts to feel the slightest bit Christmassy, I watch it every year since. It's fantastic.
I've never heard of that. What was it called again?
Angry Angel.
Huh.
It is not Evil Angel. Real heads from way back when know what Evil Angel is, and it is not the movie. It's Angry Angel. That's the one to look up. But, my next one is The Lost Skeleton of Cadavra.
I've seen that.
Yeah, it's
watch it, I think.
I might have made you watch it, but my ex-girlfriend in high school loved it and told me about it, and then I watched it and I loved it, and I've made most people in my life watch it since. But it's a 1950s B movie that was made in 2004, and it's just real good, very, very funny. Fun fact about that one is the first night that Summer came over to my house to spend the night, we started watching it, but we fell asleep and didn't finish it. And we've never gone back to finish it. We like to joke that we're still on our first date because we never actually finished the movie.
That's cute.
And then my last favorite movie is this real small indie picture called Almost, an Allman Brothers film.
Small is right.
Small is very right. Me and Jasmine play about 98% of all of the extras in the movie. Basically,
I play a couple of them, and I also held. If you ever watch a scene, you're thinking, "Damn, this scene is so well lit." Whoever was holding, like, not the lighting, but, like, you know, one of the reflectors that makes sure the lighting is doing correctly. They must have been doing a great job. You're welcome.
Yeah. That's my senior thesis film from college, and
I did sound one time too for one scene.
Yeah, it was great because everyone is real excited to be in a movie on the first day of shooting, but on the 26th day of shooting, basically the only people that will be there are roommates, and so Jasmine and Maddie filled in a whole lot of holes there at the very, very end because no one but the actors would show up. But it feels wrong to say that my own movie is my favorite movie that no one's seen, but by golly, I fucking quote that movie all the time. I had the time of my life making it and watching it, and it's good. I made the movie for precisely me, and that's good because I'm the only one who likes it.
I mean, I quote Dinosaurs in Pakistan all the time, and no one's played it, and you can't even play it anymore. Yeah. So,
and I mean, there's some good scenes in that movie and some good lines. Also, some really stupid shit, but that's okay because it's hard to make a movie.
It's very, very, very hard to make a movie. There's a reason
for every scene that makes me go, wait, why did that scene happen? Oh, it's because Sam needed to add an extra couple of minutes to the runtime. Yeah. Or why did that scene happen? Oh, it's because the scene was very clearly supposed to take place in a different location, but they couldn't get that location, so they had to rewrite the scene. And it doesn't really make sense, but I know why it doesn't make sense, because I have the background lore. So it's like, yeah, this objectively sucks, but whatever. But there's also a lot of scenes that are just legitimately very enjoyable and good.
Yeah. One thing that was not enjoyable and good was the fact that well after the initial filming, we needed some B-roll or something. So it was summer. The movie takes place in winter, so we have to be dressed for winter, but we're filming it outdoors in summer. And since it's Texas, that looks the same. But being dressed for winter in summer in Texas is no good.
It's damn, why are these characters all so sweaty?
Yeah, there's specifically one scene where the main character had to run down his stairs to emote outside, and I was like, you can just wear your flip-flops and a t-shirt. It'll be fine. This is one thing. I'm not going to make you get all the way dressed for this 5-second shot outdoors. Don't die. It's 100 fucking degrees outside. Yeah.
Also, a couple of not all the scenes, not the main scenes, but Bernard's. Oh, we should say that Bernard is an actor in this film.
Yes.
There are a couple of scenes, not the main scenes. I forget which scenes, but some of the scenes took place in a apartment where a couple of my closest friends lived, and where we would hang out all the time. That wasn't the main character's apartment in the movie, though. Was it Bernard's character's apartment?
I think they were roommates in the movie.
Yeah,
right, which doesn't make sense. But I do know that at least one scene was shot at Sean and Brian's place, not just the bedroom, the whole room.
Oh no, I'm saying all of the scenes that take place at Andy and Steve's apartment are shot at Brian's apartment.
I remember now. Because there was a different apartment that we shot some stuff at too, but that was in a different. That was not the main character's house. Gotcha. Yeah. But yeah. So it's I watched the scenes and I'm like, hey, there's the place where I first watched Vampire's Kiss, for example.
I knew you were gonna say Vampire's Kiss.
Or The Room. First time I ever watched The Room was in that apartment. Maybe.
That's a great movie that no one's seen. Vampire's Kiss. That can be your third one, Maddie Grace.
Yeah, it is kind of a big meme, though. It's literally a major meme on the internet.
Yeah, but does anyone know where the meme's from?
Good point. They don't. No, my third one is also a student film, but it's not Sam's. I'm sorry, Sam, but I have a very good
my other ones suck.
I have a very good objective reason why this film is very obviously better than yours. And you'll hear in a second. It's called Identical, and it's by my dear sweet friend Amber Autumn. It is about identical twins in college. Are they in college? It's about identical twins, one of whom is a superhero and one of whom is a supervillain, and how they have drama and they fight each other, but also they kind of just have different motivations in life. But more importantly, and this is why it's better than Sam's film, it's a musical.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, pretty fair, right? Yeah. And the songs are really good. Weirdly enough, it turns out they just happened to know a singer-songwriter friend who did a real nice job with it. So it's lovely. I watched that film on like we dated briefly. That I watched that film on like our third date or something. It was like, all right, we've been dating long enough. You got to watch this student film that I made. And I'm like, hell yeah, let's go, dude.
Yeah. If you would like to watch my movie, it is streaming free on my YouTube channel. So just go watch it.
Hey, there you go.
So last night, speaking of musicals, I was like, man, it has been a long time since I've been a theater gay and just gone and watched a big gay musical. And today I happened to look at the Cinemark app because I wanted to see what like events they're having. And an event they're having is in a few days, they're showing the London revival of Anything Goes.
Yo,
and like, what's a bigger and gayer musical than that?
That's like the gayest shit. That's like, it's literally like, what's more homosexual than Cole Porter? Like,
seriously.
God, that's great. That's a really good musical.
Yes. Yeah, I'm probably going to go see it. I don't know if I'll be able to get someone to come see it with me, but I might go see it by myself just because I need that in my life sometimes.
Speaking of things that we need in our life, let's talk about the ending of Final Fantasy XIII-2.
Ending is a strong word.
Yeah. Yeah, so, Bernard, what happens in the final episode? Fragments of the Past, or whatever it's called.
Fragments of a Forgotten Past. So in the Historia Crux, we highlight Academia 500 AF, and the hot voice says that the crystal pillar has started to crumble. The people of Academia have been evacuated to the new cocoon, and all that remains is to launch it into the sky. So Noel and Sarah jump out of a gate and find Academia empty, but it's also all weird and freaky. Everything's moving around. The UI tells us the roads have been infused with chaos, and we have to do platforming now. So as they venture into Academia, they have to jump over little ledges, and it's super easy, but I fucked it up a lot of times.
So the game makes a whole thing here where they're like, they add a whole new gameplay feature called fragment skills, which are basically, you know how a lot of games, once you beat the game, they give you all these game-breaking skills because it's like, fuck it, you already beat the game, why not? Like, everything goes at twice speed, everything goes at half speed, weird buffs and weird power-ups or more difficult things. There's all these settings you can turn on that are like in-game stuff that you get for getting lots of fragments. But the ones we get now are just everything at the shop costs less, or you sell shit for more. And finally, there's one where your jump now makes you hover for like 2 seconds, so it's a lot easier to do platforming. The game explicitly with a text box informs you that you can now go and purchase and acquire fragment skills from Pandemonium or whatever, and suggests that we do so if we have trouble with the platforming. The fact that they thought that we would have trouble with the platforming is concerning.
Yeah, like, This is about the easiest platforming possible. I did fuck it up because I wasn't paying attention because I was so bored.
Yeah, I died. I fell a couple times. Actually, getting the upgrade made it worse. You know why? Because once you get the upgrade, sometimes it's possible to like one cycle something that should be 2 cycles. So I kept trying to do that. So like instead of you wait for the platform to move, and then you go over the platform, and then you sit there and wait for the next one, and then you go for the next one.
It takes so long.
But sometimes it's like, wait a second, with my floaty jump, I might be able to catch that platform right before it spins away. And you know what? Sometimes you can, but more often you fall into the abyss. So frankly, getting the upgrade made the game significantly harder for me because I kept trying to do like speed strats.
I did not get the upgrade, but I did do some janky cycles and sometimes succeeded. I was like, I don't think I was supposed to do that, but I'm a speedrunner now.
Yeah. They even do like, this is fucking Final Fantasy XIII Crystal Tools engine, okay? Like, I'm very surprised that I have to do the thing where it's like, or you don't ever have to, but like, you're on a rotating platform, but it's a square, and you jump to get from the surface that you're currently on to the next surface. I'm like, I'm sorry, is this Mario Galaxy? Like,
Yep. I only did that once. Successfully, I only did that once.
It's never required to do, but sometimes it is if you want to skip a cycle.
Yeah. It's hard to do in this engine.
Yeah.
Because the jumps and collision are weird. But yeah, hate this area.
It takes forever, and also, the very first mob you run into, it doesn't have to be the first mob, but very first mob I ran into, is a bunch of little guys who then call a, like, Omega Behemoth, which cannot beat. Just period.
Here's the trick with that. So when the main little guy, I think is called Mimi or something, starts summoning and all the other little guys start bowing, if you kill at least one of the bowing little guys,
oh my God,
it will summon a different very hard monster, but this monster is actually possible to beat.
I beat that one. Okay, see, I figure if a monster is doing a summon animation, you should, I don't know, kill that one or stagger it. So I figured time to stagger Mimi, and then it summoned it anyway. I never thought of killing one of its followers.
Yeah, anyway, I just got lucky and figured
so it's
that
very
out.
fun that it's like, yeah, you can't do the platforming is stupid and boring. Also, if you run into this mob, it will kill you, and you will have to hit the retry button. Like, there are other mobs, but this was like the first 3 I ran into were all this, and I was just like, well, this is gonna be a fun dungeon.
Yeah, and there's another enemy group that is impossible to beat for me, and the ones that are possible to beat are very hard and take a lot of focus.
And they don't give you particularly good XP either. Some of them do.
No.
The one where
they do give you good drops for leveling up your Pokemon.
They do give you very good drops, yes. For me, the best experience was, so there's the one where you fight 5 little guys, like little robots, and that gives you pretty good XP, and it's also not even that hard, really. Then sometimes you run into not 5, but 7 of them. If you run into 7, that's pretty tricky. You gotta be on your toes or you'll die, but it gives you even better XP.
Mm-hmm.
So, back when this game came out, my roommate Trey got it and was playing it, and I hadn't played 13. I just had heard that it was a hallway and sucked and blah 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 blah. And so, I remember like going into his room to ask him like, hey, do you like, let's go to the grocery store or something. I remember seeing that he was playing Final Fantasy XIII-2 and doing some weird platforming things on a thing, like a big T shape that was rotated along its middle axis or whatever. And I was like, oh, if you're in the middle of something, he's like, no, it's not a super important part. I can pause and come back. Now that I know it's the fucking climax of the game, I'm like, dude, you should have just beaten the game. Like, we just were going to get groceries or something.
Yeah, but with how that part goes, who knows how many hours it would have taken.
True.
So as Noel and Sarah venture into academia, at one part, some darkness starts swirling towards them.
Oh, no, darkness
does. And Yule's voice tells them they must not go this way. The goddess must not be killed. And 2 bosses appear. You'll keep saying weird shit during the battle, and it's a really hard fight. And what you do is you kill one of the bosses by focusing all your attacks on it, and then the other boss revives it, and you're like, fuck. And you have to whittle them both down and kill them at about the same time.
Yeah, you got to get one of them down to like 15% and then switch to the other one. First time I fought this battle, it annihilated me so hard, and I just lost my mind. Like, oh my god, am I going to have to do all this grinding? Because here's the thing. Instead of just playing this week, when it came time to play Final Fantasy XIII yesterday and really beat the game, I spent like 2 hours doing side quests because I was enjoying it, and I forgot that it's not just like you go to the future and fight the boss, it's like a whole ass dungeon. So then when Bernard was complaining about the dungeon, I was like, oh fuck, I should probably go do that, huh? So I was really concerned. But then the second time I fought the boss, I didn't really level up. Like, I think I bought new equipment, and I may have made my monsters a bit better, but I didn't do a ton, really. And then the second time around, I did fine. I don't know.
That's how over-designed battle systems go sometimes.
True, although in this case, I don't even feel like I was playing that different. I feel like maybe I just had really bad RNG as far as like the enemies, like what attacks they used or something the first time. You know what I mean? So I got off to a bad start.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it was for me in the first game with one of the times what's his ass shot us in the helicopter. The first time I did it, I got my ass kicked, and then I hit retry. I did not change anything, and I beat him in like a minute and a half.
What was that guy's name? Who knows?
Who knows? He's dead now.
So after the battle, Yule's voice stops. Noel wonders if this was a trick from Caius. Anyway, after like another hour of stupid gameplay where you keep fucking up and falling and it's horrible, the darkness appears again. Yule's voice says they must not fight Caius. She says their path leads only to evil and despair. They can still turn back. Noel is like, I'm sure that's not anything. It's probably fine.
Well, the first one's funny because the first time the voice happens, what Noel says is, like, yeah, I'm sure it's fine. It must be a trick. It's obviously not really Yule. But what he doesn't say is what I would have said, which is, why is she saying not to kill the goddess? That's not what we're doing. We're not going to kill the goddess. Why is she telling us to not do that? Okay, got it, Yule. That's obviously what's going on there, but he doesn't like say that, which may be one of those things where like the voice recording wasn't some of the script lines weren't being aware of each other there. But yeah, like to be clear, it's not absurd that Noel's thinking this. Like, she's telling us not to do something that we're not gonna do. Which anyone who's read any Shakespeare should know that means you're gonna end up accidentally doing it or something like that. So like, you think that Noel would be like, oh, maybe we should be careful not to accidentally kill the goddess. But maybe he's thinking, no, this is Final Fantasy XIII series, so it probably is just stupid. So actually, Noel's making the correct decision here.
Well, anyway, I believe at this point, Yule does specifically say not to fight Caius.
This time she does, yeah.
But she says, Noel is like, what do you mean? Yule says, a cruel fate, endlessly repeated with no hope of release. I cannot see any future. Noel is like, but I believe in hope. Lowercase h. Yule says, the choice must be theirs, even if the future they choose is doomed. And I'm like, okay, whatever. As they proceed, Caius attacks. He summons Chaos Bahamut, his Eidolon thing from the opening. But Hope shows up with a bunch of troops and shoots Caius down. Hope tells Noel and Sarah to get on an airship manned by the best pilot they've got. It's Saz! Yay!
I screamed. He just shows up. And his kid and his chocobo.
Yep, it's great. I love him.
Unlike Noel and Snow, they haven't aged a day. They have the same character model.
Well, we don't know what time adventures he's been on. I assume he's been on some since he has a DLC.
True, but he doesn't look any older.
Also, Saz was already old, so he doesn't. It takes longer for him to age. But we don't know at this point why he's in 500 AF.
Yeah,
how we got there. But I assume we'll figure that out in the DLC or something. So Sarah and Noel fight Chaos Bahamut on the back of the airship, which seems unsafe. Also, I've got to say, it is sort of funny when Hope makes a big dramatic entrance and all these troops are like following him and they've all got guns and he has his boomerang.
Yeah. And I'm here. Plucky JRPG boy.
Yep. Hope is cool in this game, though. I love him.
No, Hope, yeah, he's extremely. I mean, he's like kind of the main character.
Kinda. He's cooler than Noel, that's for sure.
That's absolutely correct.
Let's go.
After the fight, Chaos Bahamut bangs up the airship a bit, and then Caius hops on the deck. He's like, "You're gonna die if you change the future." Sarah's like, "I know, bitch." They fight. After the fight, Noel and Caius have a big duel where they restate their motivations and yell at each other. It sort of bothers me here because there's all these fights you've got to win, but at the end of the fight, Caius is not defeated in any way. He just keeps fighting you, but in a cutscene now.
Yeah.
Why did I even have to win that fight?
Yeah, so I gotta say, the Bahamut fight I thought was very difficult. I had a very difficult time with it. He ain't easy. That's when I had to go and like, all right, I'm really gonna spend all my money, level up my Pokemon, do some infusion, blah blah blah. I did not have to grind at all, zero grinding, but I did do a lot of thinking and brain. But also it's just kind of a slog of a battle.
Mm-hmm.
But then you get to, it's just like, oh, it hits you hard, and you have to heal and keep your buffs up. I gotta say, though, I love the Caius fights in this game. I think that the battle system works perfectly for these fights. Like when we fought him earlier in the game, when we're fighting him now, when we're about to fight him again.
Yep.
Because most of these battles, like the big strong battles are just so attritional. Mm. Whereas these battles are like, no, like he doesn't have a lot of health. You can hit him hard, but he has regen unless you dispel it or poison him to counteract it. So you gotta hit him hard and aggressive. But then just as you're about to fucking kill him because you broke him, he uses, what does he do? He uses his move that ends his break, basically. He can instantly put his break meter back to 0 if he's not staggered yet, or he can instantly end his stagger phase if he uses this move. So then you're like, oh fuck, I couldn't finish him off. And then you gotta go back into like, oh shit, I gotta reapply my buffs because he's debuffing me, he's poisoning me. And meanwhile, he's got regen, so his health is going back up. So you gotta be like really aggressive. I would fight him and take like 15 minutes going back and forth, just never able to quite break through. And eventually I figured out that if you don't get him real good, real fast, you should just start the battle over. Don't even bother. Just start it over. So by doing that, I managed to try him like 4 times, but my second and third tries didn't take very long. Like literally, like I would try to get him real hard at the beginning, and then I would notice that he was he kind of pushed me onto the back foot. And I was struggling, and then I'm like, fuck it. Pause, hit start button, retry. And then when I finally got him, it was just like, the battle was like 4 minutes long.
Yeah, with the Caius fights and with the final boss fight, I'm like, I can understand not liking this battle system, I guess, but I don't see how, if you played this much, you could possibly say it's boring.
Yeah, like the Caius fights are the ones that are also the ones that feel the most like action games, which is like when I play the Caius fights, I'm like, oh, I can see the direct line from this to Final Fantasy VII Remake, right? Like, I'm guy sized, you're guy sized. We're making very fast, like you're changing paradigms like every 2 fucking seconds in these fights.
Yeah. So after Noel and Caius have their cutscene fight, a big-ass portal appears in the sky, and Caius's monster buddies start flying out. Caius flies into the portal. Hope, on the back of a different airship, calls over that they can catch him. Sarah's like, no, you stay here and protect Vanille and Fang while we go do hero shit. And I don't know how they can hear each other. Sarah and Noel jump off the ship into the portal.
And then we get to save and go grind and shopping, right? Because we just went to a new area through a time portal.
Nope.
Nope, would have made sense, but no.
They pop out in Valhalla. Well, this is the point in the time travel narrative where there's a ticking clock, even though, travel.
Even though time travel, yeah.
Yeah. You always got to have one in a time travel narrative. They pop out in Valhalla, and Odin catches them. They realize lightning is helping them, but Caius shoots them out of the sky, and they face each other on the beach. Caius says here in Valhalla, the chaos is his ally. They fight again, and this time you got to beat him twice, and it's pretty hard.
Yeah, it's the exact same fight mechanically, except that he has one thing that's different. But what is it, other than having revive? What is the new? He has like a new move, like a strong new move or something.
I'm not sure. I actually got the feeling that he had less health but was healing more aggressively, but that might have just been my imagination.
Oh, that could be true too. But I do know that as far as like very obvious things, he only has, he has one move that is different. It's like a hit everyone for a whole lot of damage real bad. So you just have to have a paradigm that is 2 sentinels and a healer, and you very, very quickly, like, man, you get so good at hitting the left bumper and then hitting the D-pad a couple times and then hitting A. Like, you got to be able to do that in like half of a second, and you have to do it all the time.
Yep.
Which is cool.
And then when you get his health bar all the way down, he revives and his health bar is all the way up, and you say fuck really loudly.
Yep, which that happened the first time we fought him too. It was very annoying.
Yes. After the fight, Noel and Caius have another big duel where they shout about their feelings. Noel says Yule knew she would die and accepted her fate so she could come back and be with Caius or something. I don't know. At this point, I'm sort of spacing out.
Well, this part's actually important. So Caius' whole shtick is he's like, Yule has to die. She keeps being reincarnated, and then she has a short little life, and then she dies, and I'm sad every time it happens. Cry every time. For the record, I'm making a like your whining voice, but that actually makes sense. It sounds like a pretty rough life that he leads. He's got a lot of hurt in his heart. It kind of makes sense. But yeah, so he's like, I need to stop this cycle because it sucks that every time Yule comes back, she just fucking dies after like not even that long, and it's not a good life for her to be living, and it's tragic, and the reality should not be like predicated on this suffering. But then Noel's thing that he says here is like, Yule apparently her being born to begin with is not like something that's forced upon her. I guess it has to do with how like the afterlife or whatever works. It's like, no, like her soul could just stay dead forever, but she chooses to be reborn, knowing that she's gonna die tragically because she loves Caius and wants to see him again. So like she could just keep dying. She could just die and be like, I'm dead now. But no, she intentionally puts herself through this pain, not in order to see visions and save the world, but in order to see the guy she loves again, even if it's only for a little while before she dies again. So that's a pretty big deal actually, and it affects Caius emotionally, I think. Well, not here. Here you just fight him, but it will in a second.
Thank you very much for explaining that more thoroughly. I was a little checked out at this point, and
it's okay. After the third time that anime characters are yelling the motivation at each other, you do kind of like, you're like, yeah, I get it, dude.
Yeah. I do like this game, but where was I? Noel ends up slicing Caius good, and he falls, dissolving into darkness. Then darkness erupts from that spot and enshrouds Valhalla. Chaos Bahamut appears and blasts Noel and Sarah good. We see them floating in a weird void/ocean. But lightning saves them. She says it's up to them to keep hope, lowercase h, alive. Noel and Sarah emerge from the ocean on a floating final boss arena. 3 Chaos Bahamuts appear, with 4 arms each. That's 12 arms.
That's too many arms, man.
I think it's the proper amount of arms.
So at this point, you have 2 options. You turn off the game and watch it on YouTube, or you spend like an hour grinding while listening to podcasts.
This battle is really hard, and the reason why I gave up on it on my second try, well, first of all, I need to take at this point, my usual 30-minute nap before work had become a 8-minute nap before work. And I had 4 hours the night before. But the reason I gave up wasn't because they were killing me. It was because I felt like I was not able to kill them. Now you might wonder, what's the difference? Well, remember, the game doesn't have like MP or anything, right? So battles are often like a seesaw. He's up there, the main bad guy. He's got 2 buddies. Now, normally with these kind of games, you can either choose to kill the buddies or choose to kill the real bad guy. In this case, you can't target the real bad guy, the real Bahamut, until you kill his 2 buddies. And the buddies aren't hard at all. And then you go to kill him, and after a certain amount of time, what does he do? That's right, he revives his buddies. Problem is, he has a lot of health, and he's hard to break, and by the time he revived his buddies, I had done like 10% of his life bar, maybe 15%, because I was on the back foot. And when he brings his buddies back the second time, they actually are a lot more aggressive and fight you more. And again, I was not dying. I probably could have kept on fighting for like 2 fucking more hours, but it would have taken 2 goddamn hours. And so the issue with me was like, I don't know if I'm ever going to actually get to fucking hit the boss because I'm not strong enough to like really get into hitting him before I run out of time, basically. So due to the nature of the fight, it's just like he's constantly preventing you from really doing anything to him. So that's why I realized I wasn't going to be able to beat it. That was the kicker for me. It wasn't like he's killing me too fast. So yeah, I neither me nor Sam actually beat this game. But we did watch the ending on YouTube. I am planning on beating it though, because if you recall, we are continuing to play next week. Mm-hmm. Also, I really like this game a lot.
Same.
So I am gonna grind. I did so many side quests. I did way more side quests than y'all did. I figured I would have to grind. Whatever.
The best place to grind is 400 AF Academia. You go there and the spawns happen a lot, and you get like 400 Christogen points per battle and a bunch of gil per battle.
That's pretty good.
I looked up best place to grind, and people said that, and the battles are really easy at this point. So
yeah. Oh, and to be clear, at this point, for any battle in this long series of 4 boss battles in a row and lengthy cutscenes in between them, at any point, if you can't beat a boss battle, if you die, you can retry just that battle, which does allow you to go into your menu and change up your shit, or you have to kick all the way back to before all of it. So it's like, yeah, if you want to go, like, I didn't have enough Phoenix Downs, for example. I should have bought more of them, but I was too busy spending the money on, like, orbs. And I mean, I had like 4, but like that wasn't enough, right? So yeah, even if I was just like, I can't beat this boss. But I think really the issue is just that I don't have enough potions of Phoenix Downs. Okay, well, you gotta fight all 4 bosses again, bucko. Also, I'm an idiot. I sold my Grimoire hat.
What's that do?
Or whatever. So you think it's relatively minor? You get it medium way through the game?
Is that the one that improves potions?
Yeah.
Yeah, you need that.
Every guide was like, yeah, so instead of being a healer, you're going to want to keep the pressure on with Commando Ravager. And when they use the all attack, use a potion to heal yourself because it'll heal yourself for 1,000 because you have your Grimoire hat. Yeah, I sold it.
Me too.
And the only ways to get it are through 1 treasure chest or a rare drop from a certain enemy. So,
yeah, I luckily did not sell it and equipped it and found it was great.
Can you respawn that treasure chest if you go New Game Plus, where it's from?
I am not sure. I just thought of that. Yeah, if you like rewind the clock on it with your whatever it's called thingy in the Crystarium paradox. Yeah, I don't know.
I'll let you know.
Final Fantasy XIII-2. You know what? The third game has a subtitle. Kind of. It's actually not a subtitle. It's a
pre-title.
It's a pre-title. Yeah. But this one, if this one had a subtitle, it would be Final Fantasy XIII-2, the Crystarium paradox.
Yep.
But I didn't actually play any of this week because I was planning on doing it this morning, and then we're like, oh hey, we're going to record at 2:30 instead of at nighttime, and so I'm like, oh well, I'll just play it early that morning. And then Bernard complained about how long the dungeon was, and then Maddie complained about how long the how hard the boss was. And I'm like, there's no way I'm beating this between 12 and 2:30.
You would not have, no.
Yeah, so I just watched the video. But just like Maddie said, I plan on playing it tomorrow to get that and the DLCs completed for next week's episode.
Mm-hmm. So, after the fight, Chaos Bahamut fades away. Thera, Noel, and Caius all appear back on the beach, but Caius is in a rough state. He grasps his chest and it glows red. Caius says that if what Noel said was true, Caius says that if what Noel said was true, that Yule's reborn because of him, then he, Caius, must die. Got through that sentence. And he's like, kill me! Noel says even if it were for Yule's sake, he wouldn't want to kill Caius. Caius is like, well, guess what? I killed Lightning! Will you allow me to go unpunished? Noel's like, you're obviously lying. Caius insists that due to time shit, he killed her long ago. Noel says he won't kill Caius. Caius says Noel will kill Caius. He attacks Sarah, forcing Noel to shield her. After a fake moral choice, which apparently does not matter at all, I looked up to see if I needed to capture two different timelines, but apparently it does not matter at all.
That's hilarious, because I was going to warn us, because on my work computer I can't follow along with like a Let's Play or anything like that, because all the gaming stuff is blocked. But I have the strategy guide. The strategy guide said, hey, be careful. There's a live event trigger in the middle of like a 10-minute cutscene. Make sure you have your controller handy. And I was going to warn you guys. And it's hilarious that the guide calls it out and neither of them matter.
Yeah.
Actually, not only do neither of them matter, the video that I watched of this, the long play, has the timer for the quick time event running out. So even making it no choice doesn't matter. When they first did that, I was like, oh shit, is this one of those things where like if you make no choice, that's like the secret correct choice? But no, I think making no choice is equivalent to picking to spare him.
Yeah, well, choosing to kill him, apparently the same thing happens.
Oh, like literally the same thing. Weird.
I don't know if there's like a line changed or something, but either way, apparently Noel stops short of killing Caius. Caius says Noel must bear the burden of the eternal paradox, and he grabs Noel's sword and shoves it through his chest. Caius fucking dies.
Let's go.
Sarah and Noel talk about what the Yules wanted and what Caius wanted. Noel says he's going to find his Yule. It doesn't have to be forever. Noel and Sarah are determined to build a new future. Noel says no one deserves to die, not even Caius, who tried to murder everyone who's ever lived. Mog says they resolved the final paradox. Time gates start appearing. Noel asks Sarah if she saw anything or felt any pain. Sarah's like, nah, I feel great. They decide to go find Lightning.
I feel great. Sarah is just chilling in Cedar Rapids. It's 2022 and I'm still making that joke.
Good job. They decide to find Lightning, who they figure is back in their world. With the paradoxes resolved, the time gates will disappear soon. The time gate before them will lead them to 500 AF, and they're like, well, guess we live there now.
Yep.
They hope to find Lightning, Fang, and Vanille there. Mog bets Snow will be there too. They jump into the gate. We see Hope in a command room, and some people on the radio are being like, the pillar's collapsing! Saz radios in to say he retrieved Fang and Vanille's crystal. We see the pillar and Cocoon fall in a beautiful FMV while a really cheesy vocal theme plays.
This is a jaw-droppingly beautiful scene. The music's really, it's cheesy, but it's real good, and the scene's really beautiful. What?
I don't know if I'd say the music is good. I'd say it's effective.
It got me all fucked up. Like I said, if this game is really about the 500-year process of creating this better world, like that's the main plot of this game. Okay, let's not bullshit ourselves about Caius. That's what this is all about. They succeeded. It's just like a purely happy ending. It's just incredible. You see all these incredible graphics. These people are good at fucking FMVs, okay? you see all these incredible FMVs, and then you see all the ships, and then you see the thing fucking collapsing, and it's like, it's really powerful to see the old world, the thing they're trying to leave behind, the thing that they've been having to deal with for the last 500 years, finally, like, it collapsing and shattering, and the destruction is actually a beautiful destruction, and then the camera zooms, and then you see the new cocoon being built, and when it goes up into the sky and it turns on, I think this is an absolutely phenomenal scene that, especially given the, sort of the impressions and reads that I've been giving of the game up till now.
Oh, I just got it. I just got the game. Remember, like 3 weeks ago, when you're like, you just have to take for granted that they need a new cocoon?
Yeah, they explain. It makes sense what the plan now.
Yeah, so the old cocoon is going to basically destroy and make Grand Pulse uninhabitable when it dies. Everyone moves on to new cocoon to be off the ground when it happens.
Yeah, because they can't make it not collapse. Yeah.
So that now makes sense. At the time, we were just like, I guess you make a new cocoon because that's what you do. But it actually totally makes sense.
I'm realizing that, like, this is like, the whole game's theme is like, the whole world was on a ticking clock, basically, because they overcame the old systems, but, like, they had not yet found paradise. They had not yet created the new world. And because the world was in this interstitial state, because the world was stuck in this transitional state between old and new, that's an untenable situation. It cannot hold forever. It's a ticking time bomb. You have to successfully build this new world before it's too late. Otherwise, because you can't just stay in that transitional state forever. It's either you complete the project, either you complete it to its fulfillment, or all of its internal contradictions are just going to annihilate it. It's really good. This game is about October 1917, and the 5 years after that, perhaps. No, it's really fun. Yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous ending, and that makes perfect sense. They should have explained that, but whatever.
So Hope says, "This is our ark, our haven. It will be called Bunavelza, and it shall be the new home for the human race." And I'm like, kind of like New Cocoon better.
Yeah, okay. New Cocoon is way better.
I love how they don't say what Bunavelza stands for. I thought he was going to be like, it'll be called Bunavelza, which in the language of my people means blah, blah, blah. I'm like, it just sounds like you're calling it like Bunny Land. Banui.
Yeah, I don't know. It's probably some mythology reference that it makes you think, wait, so does the concept of that mythology exist in in Final Fantasy XIII world? But anyway, at this point we realize, okay, so the new cocoon, we figure all that out at this point.
Hold on. So I looked it up. I typed in Bunavelza, and it looked pretty promising because when I typed like BHUN, autocomplete was on Google was like Bunavelza. Every result is from Final Fantasy XIII-2.
Lol.
So, also, I will say Lightning Returns. I actually may have just gotten spoiled a little bit about something that I won't say. But yeah, no, they just made
up a word.
Yeah, Hope's just like, it's like, why do you call it that, Hope? And he's like, because it sounds cool.
Why is that H in there, Hope? It stands for hope. So, yeah, also it's interesting how the first game ended with the home of humanity getting destroyed, and now they have to live on Pulse, and the second game also ends with the home of humanity getting destroyed, and they have to live somewhere else.
Yeah.
Anyway, Noel and Sarah fall out of a portal and don't seem concerned at all about the fact that they're falling to their deaths. Saz's airship flies up and catches them. They've been falling a really long way really quickly at this point, but since they hit the airship and not the ground, they're okay.
That's right.
Yeah, it's extra hilarious. So Noel lands on his feet and like stumbles a little bit. Sarah comes down, he grabs her by the hand, spins her around one time, and that's enough for her to land down. Like, he breaks her fall with, like, her fingers by spinning her, and it's stupid. I love anime physics.
It made me appreciate how Trails in the Sky goes out of its way to explain why you can stand on the deck of an airship.
Mm-hmm.
So the gates close. Their journey is over. Sarah thanks Noel. Or Noel. I think that's the first time I've accidentally said Noel.
I think it is. I think you promised us on episode 1 that you were going to fuck up all the time because you know someone named Noel, and then you didn't fuck up until just now.
This is a really beautiful scene because as much as y'all think that Noel's lame, I think he's good, and their BFF ship is really good. And the fact that Sarah has a fiancé this whole time means that there's never any question of, like, romantic tension.
Yeah, I like how they both are into they both have someone else, and there's not a romantic thing. Very, very close besties. Like, the relationship between them is very believable. Like, you can hear it in the voice acting, in the writing, in the animation. Like, they're just really, really, really wonderful best friends. And yeah, here she looks at him with, like, her eyes, and she goes. And then she says, you know, she's not going to say, like, I love you or something, because first of all, that would be out of the blue. Second of all, it would make no sense. But instead, she just says thank you, which is, okay, that's what a guy would say in that situation, because guys will say something like thank you as a stand-in for all the things that they want to say, because guys don't talk about their feelings, and that's okay in this situation. It's like, nah, you know, sometimes bros will just kind of grunt and say, thanks, bro. And what that means is, I love you, you're my best friend in the world, and I appreciate you so much. Anyway, a girl would not say that, but whatever.
I don't hate Noel. I just see him as what he is, and we talked about it last episode, that every Final Fantasy since Final Fantasy VII has to have the part at the end where things get weird and, like, are overwritten to make it be a twist, and this game wouldn't change the whole plot of it if Sarah and Snow's honeymoon adventure was this game. Like, all of the things they want to say, all of the plots and all the stuff are great, and Noel's just there because you have to go to Noel's future and see that he's the last 3 people and has his own relationship with you.
That's a decent point. The plot would obviously not be identical if you took Noel out but kept Caius, but it wouldn't be super different.
Yeah.
Caius is the only thing is that Noel knows Caius and knows about him, but I wouldn't say Noel goes on much of, like, a personal growth journey or anything. He's just, if he wasn't there, he wouldn't be able to give us all the info about the lore.
Mm-hmm. And they conveniently have him forget the lore when they don't want to explain it right now.
Yeah. But I like that it's a story about 2 best buds going on an adventure for their own reasons, instead of her and Snow. Because if her and Snow were going on an adventure, I'd be like, why are y'all going on adventures instead of fucking?
I do like Noel, but I will give him a lot of shit because he deserves it.
Yeah, it's gentle ribbing from his friends. I love how
I don't know about gentle.
We've been like 30 seconds away from the part that we don't want to talk about, and have found a million other things to talk about.
What are you talking about? After Sarah says thank you, the game ends.
Yeah, I very intentionally wanted to cut in and say these things at this point and not later.
Yeah. It does not fade to black.
No.
Sarah has a vision. She collapses. Noel catches her. Hope jumps on the airship from a different one to find Noel cradling the dead Sarah. They talk about how she knew what she was risking and sacrificed herself to save the timeline. Noel wanted to protect her. He thought he had. The sky suddenly grows stormy. Mog collapses and says the goddess has gone, Kupo. Noel remembers Caius saying, "The heart of chaos beats in my chest, a manifestation of Etro. Should this heart stop beating, the goddess will die once again." Noel looks at his hands, realizing he killed the goddess. And I'm like, actually, Caius did that when he killed himself, and you were actively trying to pull the sword away from him. You don't need to blame yourself for this, my dear sweet boy. but whatever. When the goddess dies, the chaos of Valhalla is unleashed. The chaos has the power to warp the timeline and destroy the past. The world is engulfed in swirls of darkness and ribbons of light. Valhalla appears. We see Lightning's form, frozen on the throne. To be continued.
Well, I will say, she's frozen, but she's, like, starting to, like, glow or something.
Mm-hmm.
She might be starting to returns.
I don't know if that was that or if it was just Xbox 360 era lighting.
Oh, maybe. I thought it was that she was starting to returns.
I don't know.
But yeah, we end on a crazy fucking cliffhanger where the world's not fixed after all. It's really fucked up. Also, like, I don't know. I knew that they made a Final Fantasy 13-3, but I actually didn't know that they'd already... I didn't know that they were planning to make it when they made this game. I actually didn't know that, so...
Yeah, to be clear, it actually says to be continued on the screen. So it's like, oh, they were really confident they were going to make a third Final Fantasy 13 game when they made this one.
And they definitely hadn't announced it. So I imagine everyone who played this game when it first came out was, like, really shocked to see it to be continued. The twist is that there's going to be another one. Like, holy shit, what the fuck? Also, I gotta say, I actually don't know if I love this ending. I feel like possibly a better ending would have been with everything is happy, but Sarah just died, and I'm really, really fucked up about it because it really hit. It's a really tragic ending in the context of all the game's other themes that she actually died at the end. And it's really hard for no. Mm-hmm. Anyway, but her dying, but the world being saved, I feel like maybe it would have been a better ending, and then the next game can be like, oh yeah, and then 5 seconds later everything got fucked up. However, I will say from a dramatic standpoint, it is cool that they immediately just have yet another fucking twist and then do the sequel hook and shit. Also, I do love that it's just like, wow, the rabbit hole just keeps on going. Like the work of getting the world you want is never actually complete. There's always another fucking thing. An unintended consequence, right? Action and reaction. Very, very cool. But yeah, that's kind of so. In my mind, the game kind of ends right before the side goes dark, in a sense. And that everything after that is more like
a teaser,
the opening cutscene of Final Fantasy 13-3.
Yeah. Sarah dying is a really powerful moment and a powerful ending. I love her.
She's a really good protagonist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really like it. And so we've basically already started Min Mom, so we're just going to keep going. But so
I was hoping you were going to make a segue into memorable moments so that I could say I need to use the restroom, and then I could do that. Okay. And then we could come back and do memorable moments.
Okay,
we can go do that.
Can do that. We can do that as well.
While you're going to use the restroom, I'll refill my coffee.
All right, I'll be right back.
Don't talk to me till I've had my third cup of coffee.
Don't talk to me until I go to the bathroom.
Segue complete. Memorable moments time. So one of my min moms of the week was realizing that the whole game was change the future, change the past. We're going to change the future to make lightning not be stolen from time by Caius and set things on the right path. But however, here sometime last week, Sarah decided this, and I only realized it this week, that she was like, no, like, we don't want to change the future, change the past, and go back and not do this. Like, we've made a lot of good progress, so we're going to find a way to save Lightning and Fong and Vanille, and then just live in our cool new utopia we made and not go back. So when the portal showed up and was like, oh, we have to go to Academia in 500, she was like, okay, this is where we live now. This is fine. I don't need to go back and have changed everything. And I thought that was really cool because I really like Sarah.
Yeah. And again, that confirms my point that, like, to me, the essential story is this 500-year history of the new world. And you end with her being able to enter the new world that she and everyone worked so hard to create, you know? And she gets to see it for just a second and then die. It kind of makes me think about how I don't know. It makes me think about how the Israelites who left Egypt weren't allowed to enter the Promised Land, right? Like, you'll go there, but you don't. Your children inherit the earth. You don't get to. And there's a lot of important theological reasons why, from both a Christian and Jewish perspective. But it's also a common theme in many things, not just in the goddamn Bible. But yeah.
It's good. I really like this game a whole lot.
I like this game too. Let's talk about how everyone feels about the game as a whole.
I wish I had finished Final Fantasy XIII on my Xbox 360 when my friend loaned it to me the last couple of days of my college career, and then I would have finished finished the whole thing right then, because back then I still had time. And this game in particular is a game about, like, so you know how, like, good it feels in Kingdom Hearts when you get your journal lights up and you go through every single thing just to clear the notifications. Like doing that, except you get to play a fun game and do side quests and get lore and do stuff like that. That's kind of how this game's whole vibe is, and I wish that I could do that more than plowing through it and 2 other video games for a podcast every week.
Part of me thinks if I'd played this back when it first came out, it may have had a very big impact on, like, my taste and stuff. But on the other hand, I think I'm very happy that I played it specifically right now. I think that I don't think I would have been in the right place to really appreciate the game when I was a kid, when I was younger in college. But also just, like, I don't know, given, like, the way that the last couple of years, I mean, any game that's about fixing the world is going to hit a little different. Yeah. In the year 2022, right? It's like when we made the terrible decision of playing Chrono Cross in the middle of 2020. Yeah. Worst/best possible time to be playing that game, right? I'm surprised there wasn't a subplot in the game about a pandemic. But, like, it's a very... It took a while to get there. So, fun fact, I looked on Wikipedia, and apparently the developers of this game both intended it to during its development and said after that it has a, quote, darker tone than FF13, which,
What?
Where?
Okay. I do think if you think about it, there's a lot of very serious things, like the whole general idea of, like, the world's just so fucked and confused, but, like, Noel and Sarah are just such happy-go-lucky characters. And also the tone in general, it's like you go to it's funny how much Kingdom Hearts influence I see in this game.
Yeah.
Given that there's no really creators in common, it's the same people that made FF13 and, of course, Tetsuya Nomura. But maybe it's just that maybe the disease had spread. Because, like, each time period, you go there, they have a relatively isolated issue, you help them with the issue, and at the end, you lock a keyhole. I mean, you find a time fragment, and then you go on to the next place, right? Like, it is kind of structured like Kingdom Hearts, but instead of it being Disney worlds, you're going through the different eras of this place's history. Also, the interesting complication of seeing, like, alternate versions of things, going back and forth between different parts of the same location, all that kind of stuff. But, it's just a very strange game. I don't have a whole lot to say about it I haven't already said, but, like, it simultaneously feels very scattershot and loosely structured, both in terms of its literal structure. Its mechanics are much broader. Its themes are much more all over the place, and yet it still feels like it really does have a strong emotional, conceptual core to it, even if it doesn't really, you kind of have to do a little bit of detective work. Like, a certain line of dialogue here and there makes you go, oh, that's what this game is, like, about, aside from just being, here's some goofy kids on an adventure. Yeah, I don't know. It's just a lot more light on its feet than the previous game, and I really loved playing it. I liked it more and more as it went on, especially. It's always nice when you make the shift in a story where you realize, oh, it's so funny. Like, oh, I used to think, why am I wasting a whole chapter on this random, like, side story about stopping a bunch of gummy dudes from eating the Crystal Tower holding up Pulse? That just seems like an annoying... Can we get to the main story? But all you gotta do is realize that is the main story, that the individual little side stories are the point, and now all of a sudden, when you get to an individual side story, you're like, hell yeah, and you're able to appreciate it. It's all just like a different in mindset, you know? Like, realizing that this is the part you should be paying attention to, and not the part that is just you have to deal with while the main plot is in the background. Yeah, I don't have a lot to say about it. It's got a great ending. I like its lore is a lot more simplistic and coherent in a sense. And it's got a lot to say, yeah, about sacrifice and about society functioning, and about, like the first game, it's a deeply political game where the word politics specifically means, actually, maybe not politics, but it is not the technical definition of politics, for the record. But it's a game about having to grapple with the actual really difficult decisions about how to achieve a goal, you know? And most stories aren't really about that. Most of the stories are about, are we strong enough to achieve our goal? Are we pure enough to achieve our goal? Do we have the moral righteousness to achieve our goal? Is the power of friendship more powerful than the power of not friendship, or whatever, right? But this is like, no, we know what we want. We want a better world. But we also want this girl not have to suffer a million times. And we also want Caius to not have to suffer. But we don't want to kill him. So it's just like, those are difficult questions. And you can't necessarily square that circle. And it's a game about trying to square the circle of a very, very complex situation, and characters trying their best to figure it out. And I find it deeply compelling.
Do you all like Final Fantasy XIII or Final Fantasy XIII-2 more?
Very difficult question. I'm gonna go probably with 13-2. I don't know. 13-1 is such a singular game. It really exists like a rock in your brain. Like, it is one fucking thing, and it sort of rests there and occupies this space rent-free. 13-2 is something that I feel like I'll probably spend more time thinking about, and it's certainly a game I'm more likely to replay. I played 13 twice. I'm never playing it again.
I mean, 13-2 is also half the length of 13.
That's another thing about 13-2 that's in its favor.
Yeah, I think I like 13-2 better, because the question is, which one do I like better, and not which one I think is better, because, like, although it basically takes the plot and ignores it, except for the final FMV that they revisit 3 times, I think you can't get to Final Fantasy 13-2 without Final Fantasy 13, and I feel treating them as a whole, that so the actual point where Final Fantasy 13 gets good is when Final Fantasy 13-2 starts. Like, all of the ways that it expands and opens up the Crystarium and paradigms and all of that stuff here in the second game, it makes it a lot more fun to play, even though I did get it in the other game. And so I feel like all of the things that I like more about 13-2 13 a whole lot. That being said, yeah, I just wanted to I want to 100% this game, and I do not care to play Final Fantasy 13 ever again.
I like Final Fantasy 13-1 more.
Interesting.
Totally valid. I think there's a lot of reasons to go either way.
One reason is Metagrace mentioned a sort of looseness to the narrative of this game, and I felt that in comparison, there's going to be lots of relativelies.
Yes.
Final Fantasy 13-1 was relatively taut in comparison. And I really, really liked how the bad guy in Final Fantasy 13-1 is just this horrible situation, these embodiments of systems. It's not a dude who's sad about a girl.
I agree. That is the big weakness of this game, and I like the dude who said about the girl, for the record. Oh, wait, we need to talk about the secret ending. Did y'all watch the secret ending?
What are you talking about?
This game's got a secret ending.
Are you talking about the Lightning DLC?
No, I'm talking about the post-credit scene that you get if you got all 160 fragments.
No, I wasn't aware of that.
So, the YouTube video that I watched includes this. Don't worry, it's very, very short. I forget exactly everything. There might be a line or two of dialogue, but basically Caius... so Caius is alive. You get a slow intonation of Caius being like... Okay, fuck it. I forget what he says. But long story short, there's a zoom in of Caius sitting on the throne in Valhalla. And he basically says that killing the goddess was his plan all along. And he knows that him dying was required to kill the goddess. So, actually, he succeeded in his plan because he wants to just totally, like, destroy God and break down this whole system, and presumably is, like, maybe the villain of the next game or something.
Interesting.
Which is a big deal. And I'm glad that I watched that scene. Very cool. The reason I had to mention that because of what you just said, right? So, like, I agree that the fact that there's just this guy with this little personal story that seems weirdly disconnected from the broader story of the world being rebuilt and stuff is the main weakness of this game, at least conceptually and structurally, even if I actually like the components. You know what I mean? The pieces are good, but they don't go together. They go together in a weird way.
Mm-hmm. It feels a little weird saying, I liked the evil Pope as a bad guy more, because that is such... People like to act like that's the biggest JRPG trope. Actually, not a ton of evil popes.
Yeah, it's really not a huge thing.
Still, I don't know. I liked how Bartandalus was just a representation of all these evil systems.
Yeah.
And
well, he's bad for normal reasons, man. Why is he evil? I don't know, because he's the head of an oppressive society, because of politics, because of power, because of economics. That the same reason, like the normal reasons that we see in real life. Instead of you're sad because you're a guardian, you have to protect a girl throughout the timeline, which is not something that we see in real life, as far as I know.
Also, I will say one thing I like about 13.1 more than 13.2. 13.2 had two main characters. I really like Sarah. I like Nolo, right? But Final Fantasy 13.1 had 6 main characters, and I like them all a lot.
Yeah, agreed.
So, although Hope is very prominent in this game, and I do like Old Hope a lot.
Also, let's not forget about the character whose name I forgot. My wife, Alyssa, yes.
Oh, yeah.
We never really got any closure with her after her weird line last week.
Which is really a damn shame. Maybe she's in the DLC or something, but she's so cool, and then nothing really happens.
I was kind of expecting Noel to be like, where's Alyssa? And Hope's like, who?
Yeah,
well, it's funny because...
Did we change the future type thing?
Well, it's funny because you thought that Alyssa was being weird and ominous in this scene. I thought the filmmaking was implying that Mog was weird and ominous. But in fact, the game follows up on neither of those possibilities.
I think it was just like, oh, something's not right here. And then Alyssa says she no longer exists in this future or something.
Yeah.
And so neither of them was actually being ominous. But yeah, we don't get any follow-up on that.
And you know what? We didn't see her in these final cutscenes. Like, don't get me wrong, we only saw Hope for like 5 seconds, but like, still.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alyssa is great. Also, one section of 13.2 I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed the contained story about the stable time loop of the AI going back in time to make sure it was made. That was just a cool, nice little dumb sci-fi story wedged into my JRPG. I enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, I should fill you in on some of the other little stories wedged into things.
That's next week. Next week is going to be a real short episode, so you're going to fill us in on all the cool ones that you found.
Oh, okay. Are we going to have time for that in addition to the DLC?
Yeah,
it looks like the DLC is real short. Like I looked, like apparently Lightning's is the only one that is really important, and I looked up a playthrough of that on YouTube, and it was like 30 minutes.
Okay, cool. Then then I'll fill you in. So most of the lengthy side quests, they come in long chains that involve like for example, one of them, I'm not gonna tell you what it is, but I'm just giving you a heads up. Like one of them started with me going to Brescia Ruins 300 AF. Which then resulted in me going to Yash's Massif 110 AF. Another one of them involves going to the Vile Peaks in, I think, 3 different timelines.
We didn't go to the Vile Peaks at all in the main story, did we?
Nope. But you do
that
for
was
this.
In 13.1. That's like the garbage heap, right?
Yeah. So you do go there for this game for a lengthy series of side quests that tell a little self-contained story about people trying to rebuild the world. I'll spoil it. The one in Vile Peaks is actually really boring and kind of stupid, whereas the one in Brescia Ruins and Yash's Massif is extremely cool.
Nice.
Cool.
And there's probably more than that too, but that's as far as that. Those are the 2 that aren't just like one quest long and involve whole new areas. Yo, there are still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There are still 13 grayed out little hexagons on my fucking mindscape here.
Dang.
Like, what the hell? Like, what?
This game is there's so much.
I have less than half of the fragments.
I guess they heard the feedback that Final Fantasy XIII was too linear and didn't have anything to do other than walk down the hallways and then these stupid fucking Seath Stone side quests. And they were like, we're not going to have that criticism again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were very clearly responding to the criticism of the first game in the most, like, blatant possible manner.
One other thing that I want to mention that doesn't really click for me for Final Fantasy XIII-2 is the fact that you have the monster collecting. I don't really like when a game has mechanics that don't like fit neatly with the narrative, and like I talk about Cuphead sometimes. Cuphead rules, but the fact that the look of the old cartoons doesn't really fit the gameplay. It doesn't, like, there isn't a particular reason it should look like that for gameplay that is Mega Man.
Yeah.
Right.
Like shooting. Like, that's not what you do. That's not what people do in those old cartoons. So why is this the combination? I don't know if I'm explaining it well.
No, I feel the same way about Cuphead. It's weird.
But Cuphead does rule, though. But like the monster collecting, it's like there was one cutscene where it was like, oh, you can do monster collecting because of reasons, and then it was like never relevant again.
It's just there. Yeah, I mean, the only reason it's really there is because it's a story about 2 people going on an adventure, and
in this game won't work with 2 characters.
You need to have 3. So
I kind of am wondering, like, could they have had a 3rd character? Could Mog have been a party member? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, the way that doesn't change is if Mog is a party member, and they could have even kept it similar to how the monster collecting works, where he has all of the paradigms available to him, but he has a different way of leveling up than we do. So he could have just been our
maybe
Pokemon.
It's explained that he copies the abilities of monsters that you fight.
Something like that. Yeah,
and like, to be clear, and like I'm
make
glad
him a blue mage Moogle. Like,
yeah.
and I am glad that they didn't like have another new character, because I do think that this game's vibe wouldn't work as well if it was not specifically just 2 people going on an adventure. Like, if it was Noel and Sarah and some other person, it's like,
and
no,
Poochie.
This is about their thing. But you know what else they could have done? Mother 3 did this. Like, Mother 3 is about 3 characters. I mean, Mother 3 switches characters a lot, but like Mother 3 has a dog in your party, and a dog gives you a party member without affecting the emotional landscape of the game because they don't talk or have character arcs. So yeah, having Mog would be kind of similar, right? Like no, Mog doesn't need a dramatic arc or anything. He's just he's just also there.
Yeah, he's just Poochie.
He's just Poochie.
So yeah, the monster collecting is a little weird. Felt disconnected from the narrative.
Yeah, I also deeply despise of this game. The monster collecting being items is cool and all, except getting the actual items that you need at any sort of level to keep them level with your main party members, I found real hard to do.
Yeah, it's actually very difficult. Yeah, it's actually weirdly tough to keep up their strengths.
Yeah, and it never felt great. I ended up using my the first 3 that they give you. I ended up using 2 of the 3 until I maxed them out, which was like last week when I maxed them out, and I swapped them out for new ones because it took a very long time.
Also, it's weirdly imbalanced. Like I literally got 2 medics the entire game. 2. I got Kate Sith right at the very beginning of the game, who was my medic for the entire game. And then a bit later, I got this one that was like a little blob. And the blob was good, but it was a quick learner. So I just boosted him to the top and then used the fact that he now had more abilities, and I transferred those abilities to Kate Sith, who had better stats. But like, that's it. I never got another medic. Also, medics and Ravagers are so hard to come by. And meanwhile, I got like 1 million Saboteurs, and I'm like, man, like, I'm not that smart, okay? I don't play this complicated shit, okay? If I want a Saboteur or if I want a Saboteur, like Saboteurs and whatever's, they're more situational. So if I want a Saboteur or a Synergist, I'll just make Sarah or Noel be that. Like, very seldom did I want my monster to not be, my monster pack to not be Commando Ravager Medic. Yeah. Because whatever else I was doing, I would probably also want a Commando or Ravager or a Medic, right? Yeah. Meanwhile, like every fucking monster I'm catching. And this is a goddamn game where you fight a giant cactuar, which is one of my favorite things in the game, in any game, but I especially love it in this game because of the way the battle system works, where the giant cactuar actually is giant and fills up like the entire goddamn screen, and it's hilarious. You actually catch one, and he gets into your party, and you're like, that's hilarious. And then he's a synergist. What? Yeah. You're telling me that the giant, horrible monster that can murder the fuck out of anybody is a synergist? That's stupid. He should be a commando.
Yeah. I was so excited when I got the cactuar, and then I was really upset.
I was so excited when I got the Chocobo Commando. I love Chocobo. Yeah. I put a little flower on her, and she's real cute.
I will say regular cactuar did become my my new commando, though. He's very good.
I also think I only got 2 medics the whole time. I got Ket Shi at the beginning,
which is technically the way you say it, but no one fucking does that.
And used Kate Sith for a really long time, and then when we got to the tower, I forget what the tower is called, but I happened to look at a guide to see like what the fuck was going on, and it mentioned to get Flanator in this area as a good medic. So I went out of my way to get that.
That is a good medic when it's being a bad guy. I noticed it was very annoying. So yeah, good medic.
Its feral link is called Hyper Rescue, which heals the whole party for like 1,500 HP instantly. Very useful.
You know what? That's another issue in this game. None of the feral links I ever used were really that good or worth bothering with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hyper Rescue was the only one that really helped.
Oh man, here's something fun. On the final boss, so towards the end of the game, whenever you level up your Crystarium, you start to be able to pick like ultimate moves, kind of like we had in the last game. So I did pick the Ravager Ultima move for Sarah and the Commando one for Noel. And the Noel one does hell of damage. It's extremely powerful. So I finally fucking broke the thing about Bahamut, not only does he have his 2 buddies, but once you kill the big Bahamuts and are just fighting him, he does have one attack where he summons these little guys, and if you don't kill them, they blow up. So anyway, I finally broke him, and I'm like, oh hell yeah, I finally broke him. So I get his his percentage up, and I'm about to do some damage. And then I switch to Noel to be the party leader, and then I go to use his crazy strong spike. And it wasn't until after I hit go that I realized that Bahamut had totally summoned those little guys, and that I had used the move on them.
God damn it.
So Noel flies in the air and does a crazy anime move and throws like his spear like 10 times at the smallest little dude ever, who dies after the first hit. And I'm like, God damn it.
You hate to see it.
Good times.
I did hate to see it.
Anyways, I need to go eat dinner. So if you like what you heard today, you can check us out on the web at www.rpgbook.club, where any and all donations go to unlocking more of this side podcast. We already have Lightning Returns unlocked, so we'll be diving straight into that when we're done with this game. And we are currently looking to unlock Metal Gear Solid for our next shortcast game.
Yeah, let's go.
Go give us some donations, but let us be overworked for no pay, as we always do, and we will be happy to do so. For RPG Book Club Longcast, I have been Sam Allman.
I'm David Bernard Hauk.
And I'm not a Grace Rabbit.
Toodaloo, folks.
Bye, everybody.